Because payroll taxes distort the labor market and create costs for both sides, both firms and workers, they're said to create a deadweight loss. A deadweight loss in the labor market occurs when the payroll taxes distort the equilibrium between supply and demand for labor. This inefficiency, because remember, equilibrium is the most efficient condition for the labor market. When we move out of equilibrium, this inefficiency results in fewer workers being hired and fewer jobs available to them than in the tax-free market before it's implemented. Essentially, what happens is the tax creates a gap between what employers pay and what workers receive, leading to a loss of economic efficiency because some mutually beneficial transactions between workers and employers do not occur. Remember, in a free market, all transactions are what we call mutually beneficial. Both the seller and the buyer is made better off by trading what they have for what they want. So when we, in this case, create a payroll tax, but we do anything to knock the economy out of equilibrium, to change the supply and demand conditions, both producer surplus and consumer surplus is reduced. So in this case, for the payroll tax, some of that producer and consumer surplus that no longer goes to the consumer and the producer goes to the government in the form of the tax. That's the difference between the wage being paid by the firm and the wage being received by the worker. But some of it is simply lost. Instead of going to the government, there are transactions that never take place now because of the reduction in employment. That doesn't go to anyone. That is completely lost. So here, the figure on the left shows the labor market before the payroll tax. It's Pareto efficient, with the consumer and producer surplus being maximized, the employment at E0. But once the payroll tax is implemented, what happens? The wage that workers receive fall from W0 to W net. The worker's surplus falls from the area of Q to the area of Q star. We don't need any geometric formula to tell us that this is a smaller area than Q was on the left side. The firm's surplus also falls from P to P star after the total cost of employing a worker increases to W total. The area T here, right there, is the revenue that the government receives from the tax. But remember, now there are fewer workers that are working compared to the initial equilibrium. We move from E0 down to E1. Those workers that we lose that are no longer being employed, that in the initial equilibrium, both the firm would want to hire and the workers would want to work, represent the deadweight loss. So this area here, this triangle that's in purple, labeled DL, is the deadweight loss from the transactions that would have occurred absent the tax. So this is not being captured by anyone. It's not going to the government. It's not going to firms. It's not going to workers. And this is why so many economists appear reflexively anti-government, and they appear skeptical of either taxes or other regulatory programs, as they tend to create this deadweight loss. And it's honestly difficult to notice these sorts of deadweight losses because they're things that don't occur. So now the benefits of this tax, for instance, the payroll tax funding Social Security, may be huge, but there is still this deadweight loss, this cost that exists. Many times the deadweight loss is greater than the supposed gain. And these are for much smaller, less important types of regulations that, don't go to millions and millions and millions of seniors like Social Security. So when economists talk about cost-benefit analyses, this is what part of the thing that we're talking about is there's this cost here that also has to be considered. So what this helps illustrate for us is how these interventions can prevent the market from reaching an optimal allocation of resources, leading to a reduction in overall economic welfare. If we understand how deadweight loss helps policymakers assess the trade-offs of their decisions, it enables them to design interventions that minimize inefficiencies and better support both consumers and producers. So by recognizing and addressing the deadweight loss, we can design policies that enhance market efficiency and improve overall economic outcomes.